Hello there, welcome to an extra show for this week. There's no lights or anything, I'm just using natural light because this is a quickie. I saw Terminator Dark Fate today. I thought I'd give my impressions of it. This is I've already done a video about the Terminator films. I thought it'd be good to do this one. I'll talk non-spoiler to start with, and then I'll get into spoilers, because there's some stuff to talk about. The non-spoiler version of this is the worst film I've seen all year. This tops X-Men Dark Phoenix for bad for me. This is so terrible. This series has to die. And I'm actually speaking as someone who's always a massive Terminator fan. I mean, I had the original Virgin VHS box from Britain, you know, the really old one with Schwarzenegger in the front. You know, I've been a fan from Terminator since late 84, 85 when it first went in video. I never saw it in cinema because I was way too young, but I saw it as soon as it came out in video. I am a big fan of Terminator. You know, for years, Terminator was one of my favourite films. Terminator 2, I really enjoy. I really like Terminator 2. To me, it's not as strong as the first one, but you can go to my video about this series and you can see all my views on the series. But those two I hold highly. The sequels after that, I don't really count. They're just made by other people. I don't count them as part of the canon. They're kind of like what the Universal films after James Whale were, like Frankenstein. There were sequels but they didn't really count. I liked the TV show Sarah Connor Chronicles. It had its problems, but I really enjoyed it. There was lots of nice moments in it. And when I heard after all the disastrous sequels that hadn't done well, that James Cameron was coming back to produce Terminator and help write it, I thought, okay, we're going to get back to what we need for this series. This is going to be good now. Finally, the guy who set it all up is going to come back and sort the mess. Because they'd gone off in all these weird directions that didn't really matter, and there was a lack of cohesion. So you thought, okay, he's going to come back and he's going to sort it. Then you heard Linda Hamilton was coming back and Sarah Connor. I thought, oh good, this is good. This is there'll be some dramatic thrust which has been missing from the series for a long time. It's all these action scenes, and a lot of time you never had much character involved. And it was like, okay, this is going to get good. You know, and they brought in some good writers and some bad writers, but I mean, some of the people involved in the writing of this film are good. Billy Ray, who did Shattered Glass, he's good. James Cameron is good overall. A lot of stuff, his dialogue's a bit cheesy, but he knows how to construct a good movie. So you thought, okay, this is going to be good. They brought in Tim Miller, who directed Deadpool, to direct it. Deadpool's a very good film. I was looking forward to this. Schwarzenegger will come back. He's been in a lot of bad movies, a lot of bad Terminator films, but it's still a plus to have him. Then there was new cast members. I thought, okay, this looks good, this is new. It's set in Mexico, Mexican border. That looks interesting, different. It goes back to the beginning, it goes back to like Terminator 2, where they did a sequence in New Mexico. Thinking, okay, this could be interesting. So everything was looking good. There was a mystery of what John Connor would be involved in this film, what it would be about with him. Because no one's sure if Furlong was coming back from the originals. And they said, yeah, he's back. James Cameron said, yeah, he's back. And the story would continue. So, okay, well, this is all looking good. And they kept on a bit of mystery about it. You never quite knew what the film was about, but everything was looking like things were back on track. They put a lot of money into it. They had a lot of talented people. They had even Josh Friedman, who helped run Connor Chronicles. It's like, this all looks up and up. This could be really good. And then I saw the film, and it's garbage. It's almost like James Cameron read a couple of scenes and fine. He probably didn't. Some of this is probably his fault, but there's so much of this film that is dire. But I'll start with the basics of what's wrong with it, and then I'll go into spoilers. So if you haven't seen it, you can make your mind up. But the problem with the film is there's no direction to it. It's meanders from one scene to the other. It starts out well enough. The first half hour, there seems to be some direction, some momentum going. Like You have two new Terminators arrive the way they would do in a Terminator film. They've got a target, they're going to deal with the target. There's an action scene for this target to get away from the Terminator to start with, so the person can get up to speed to they've been targeted for termination. All that stuff's done good. Not as good as the first two films, but it's still pretty good. I mean, it's not... It doesn't show signs that this is going to go off the rails the way it does, but it's going to go off the rails. But the film is going, okay, this is better than what's been going on for a while. Hopefully they've got a master plan of where this story's going to go to create a really good second and third act to really create some tension. They don't. That's a big thing. After the first half hour the film's over. There was no ideas. They wander. There's a whole middle section where there's lots of wandering as they have to get to a certain location. That kind of meanders, and it gets more and more tedious, and there's lots of scenes in it that makes you feel like they don't have any ideas, they're trying to kill time, and there's scenes that don't really add anything new to the story. There's no scene to scene momentum that makes you think, makes you curious about what's going to happen next. It just feels like we're having scenes, we need an action scene here, or we need a dialogue scene here. There's no like momentum to it. And then the final third, you know, when everything's supposed to come together, because there's nothing in the middle third, there's nothing to build on. So the last third is just this mess of action scenes, most of which I've seen in the trailer, and most of which are incomprehensible. Mainly because you're so bored with that point that I found it hard to keep pay attention to what was going on. My mind was really wandering pretty badly. You know, well, I'm going to say, when Terminator Genesis actually had some better ideas than this film, that shows how bad this film actually is. Nothing interesting happens in the last third. Just a lot of action scenes, a lot of mindless action scenes. There's no character work all in the last third. It's just action scene after action scene. They have total attempts at character work, but none of them work because they haven't been built up properly. So it's just people talking to each other and having lots of explosions around them. And this is stuff that would kill any human being instantly, and they survive one thing after another. If you remember the first two Terminators, people get injured really brutally and they'd have to crawl on the ground with stuff in their leg and things. They couldn't do anything, they couldn't walk after they get injured for days afterwards or something. It was like, it was a fantasy idea, but the injuries were real and injuries could really mess someone up. This one, people can fall from planes and stuff like that, and there's not a problem. It really is embarrassing how physics works in this one. This is his total contempt for the audience. And the performances are mediocre at best. I mean, Schwarzenegger does what Schwarzenegger does. No better or worse than any other film, but his character is basically the same character from Terminator Genesis. It's the same type of joke, type of humour. What you saw him doing that way, you see him doing this one. He's in it less than Genesis, but it's the same kind of character. Linda Hamilton has devolved from Sarah Connor from the first two movies to this grumpy old woman who swears way too much. Most of the dialogue swearing, and there's nothing there that really grabs you. The target of termination is this young Mexican woman who's blonde. She's okay in the beginning before she gets targeted, and during the first scene she's fine. And I don't think it's the actress's fault. Honestly, I don't think it's her fault. She just was not given anything to do. It's just like, go and stand over there while the rest of us talk in your scene. And then so by the time you get to the end of the film, when she's meant to be standing up for herself, she's been given so little to do that no one's taking her that seriously. It's like, I don't care what you're doing, just go away. Because they haven't built her up. She's just not... All the detail you got in Terminator 1, Terminator 2, with Linda Hamilton the first one, they'd be following the second one, as they build up the character and actually learn from what's going around them and actually have an arc. This character doesn't have an arc. This character starts scared, ends up apparently in power, but there's no real progression through that. There's just nothing. And I can say that without saying spoilery, because you know that's what's going to happen. That's what it sets up to happen, but they don't do any details. I mean, you can tell from the trailer that's where it was going. Mackenzie Davis as the Protector is good, but again, she doesn't have that much to do. You don't know what her character is. She's just this character who's doing this stuff, and it's like, why are you doing it? They have a kind of plot reason, but there's no emotional thrust to it. Even though there's meant to be in the story, but there's not, because it's not been detailed enough. And you just feel that this film is lacking detail throughout. It starts off with some detail, and by about the third way through, it starts to lose interest in that, and by the last third, there's no detail whatsoever. They're not humans, they're just these special effects that are thrown on the screen like, rah, rah, rah. You know, it's the least human Terminator film for a while. That's saying something. And it's so much talent involved. I mean, Tim Miller's a decent director from Deadpool. I don't know what happened here, but there's lots of shots of things happening, but you're not interested. You know, there's lots of scenes with Linda Hamilton that could be moving, but the context they're placed in against other scenes makes them less moving than they should be. And because the character's not written properly, it's very vague, it doesn't really, you don't really feel there's a person who's going through what the story says she's going through. I just didn't buy it. And none of the characters have that feel. And the villain, the Terminator villain, is just a T-1000 knockoff. He's a mix between T-1000 and the character, the villain from the third movie. And he's just boring. He's just a boring character. I mean, there's lots of ways this is a remake of the third movie. There's tons of stuff. Like there's a scene early on which is this big action scene that comes way too early before you're going to know the characters, which the third one did. There's a bunch of other stuff that parallels it as well. You know, it's just there's a boring movie where every time they try and stop and do a character scene and amongst all the action, because they haven't been set up properly, you just feel like blah, you know. So I mean, this is like this is almost like Terminator 3 but worse. That's honestly how I felt through it. I just felt nothing from any of the characters, and it just felt like there was like they had a general idea what they wanted to do and then they never wrote it, and there was just this feeling of this is going nowhere, and let's have things happen, let's have things blow up so no one everyone understand something's going on, even though we don't have a clue why we're doing any of this stuff. The whole last third is basically they're going from place to place. I don't know why they were doing half the stuff they were doing, because I was so bored by then and they didn't seem to know. They were just screaming at blurry and you would see things happening and lots of things would blow up, but you were like, and it's always, most of the time you think they should be dead, but now not even by the Terminator, just by physics. So it's a mess of a film and just a very generic action sci-fi movie that you've seen a million times, and it's not up to the standard of the first two Terminator films. So that's a non-spoiler review. Let's go into spoilers now. So if you haven't seen the film and intend to see it, stop the video. If you're okay with spoilers, because honestly, you don't really need to see it in the cinema. There's nothing visual here that will make you need to see it in the cinema. It's such a blur, half the stuff that you see in the screen, that you're not going to see anything anyway. But if you want to go see it, go see it. Good luck. Hope you're doing more than I did. But now we're going to spoiler section. Okay, the big spoiler, the thing that you could probably have worked out by the trailers, is at the beginning of the movie John Connor dies. So basically you have an actor, Edward Furlong, with Edward Furlong's face, put a graft onto it, as he is like 2 years after Terminator 2. They shoot him. Arnold Schwarzenegger comes up as another Terminator that was sent back, who's hunted him down, and even though Linda Hamilton's there, she's too busy drinking a drink to notice him. As he walks up behind her, even though she's meant to be this big warrior, then he just plugs John Connor. That's the start of the movie, and that's the setup to the rest of the movie. And it's really bad because the movie doesn't live up to that idea. The movie doesn't earn that. That moment or anything after it does not earn. It does not have a backup plan for what can replace his character and the story. It doesn't earn anything to do with this thing. Not from the way it was shot, because Schwarzenegger looks really fake because it's obviously CGI, he's been de-aged. And not from what happens as you go along, because it just throws out the whole history of Terminator. Because the whole idea of Terminator was John Connor was this guy who was going to come a human entity's worst point and save it from the machines. That's very important. So in this film they try and do a thing where he is killed, then years later new Terminators arrive and try and attack someone who turns out she's going to be the leader of the resistance now. That's a Mexican woman who they try to terminate. And that's so obvious anyway, right? But they try and suggest that maybe she's the mother of this hero. But from what they tell you about when they came from, there's no way she could be the mother of the hero other than someone rise up that much. So you know it's hard just by doing basic math in the film. Basic math tells you it's hard that she's the hero. But she's been, as I've said, she's been completely underwritten. And the actress doesn't have a chance. Really doesn't have a chance. She's bland. But it's bland because she's not given anything to do. They haven't written her at all. So they chuck out a character that's been going on for a long time. There's been the basis of Terminator and Terminator 2. They've built him up so much and they throw him away. And it feels like a cheat. It felt like a cheat when I heard about it before I saw the film. But I was hoping there would be a reason around the film that made it make sense. And there's not. There's just like, this is a replacement figure. It's a woman this time. Because we're going to change the gender and everything. And there's tons of stuff about girl power stuff that's embarrassingly done. It's like, Terminator was always feminist. It's always good. It always had a healthy respect for women characters and male characters. Everybody had a place. It was never sexist in any way. So there was never any problem. It was always like both genders are strong in their own way. This one it's like, no, they all have to be women. So it's like, it's very forced. There's lots of forced dialogue that's very cringeworthy. But if they're going to do that, they have to earn it with a character that you can sense is going to be important, is going to do stuff that's really important. And they don't set it up. And they just chuck at this history. And what's worse, now because this film is part of the stream of things, they've damaged Terminator 1 and 2, because the whole point of Terminator 1 and 2 was protecting Sarah Connor in the first one, protecting John Connor in the second one, because they were going to be, when they grow up, they were going to be the thing that would bring people to salvation against the machines. That was the point. That was why it was part of the emotion of it. It was like, it's very important this person lives. And you throw that away, so you're watching these two films and now you're going to go, well, why bother, because he's going to die and get in the third one. It's like, well, see, this is the thing. James Cameron complained, right, when David Fincher made Alien 3, he killed off Hicks and Newt in the first few minutes, which deflated the end of Aliens. And James Cameron complained a lot about that when it came out, like what they'd done to what he'd done in the previous film. And I thought he had a right to complain. I like Alien 3. A hell of a lot better than this film. It's a lot better made. But a lot better written even, despite all its flaws. But he complained that it took away from the emotion of the second film by doing that. And this time he's done it to himself, because he's got this character's been built for 2 films. You've really invested in this character and have killed him off in the third film. They try and suggest that this idea will go on even if the John Connor character dies. The idea will go on through his mother, through the grief for her son, and the ideals that he lived for and the future is not set would go on without him. The ideal of him would actually promote other people, and his example, because he stopped Cyberdyne and Skynet before, would transfer over to this new character Danny that she would now go on. But because the character's not very good, the Danny character's not very good, and the film's so bad, it just deflates the whole thing. You know, and suddenly if you feel these two films are just been destroyed by this terrible film here. So it's not just it's a bad idea to deflate. It's okay to switch audience identification, but it's bad to deflate the things that will damage the earlier films, which this film does, completely knowingly. Because if you're going to do that, you have to earn it, and actually earn it through the film that this is important, that you have to make sure the next stage pays off, and this next stage doesn't pay off, because all you're seeing is these characters go meandering through all these scenes that make no sense. And there's a whole section in the film, like John Connor's dead, like Sarah Connor's been grieving for him for 30 years. She's been hunting down all these Terminators that have come back as revenge, and she's a regular person because of it. That's the idea. It doesn't pay off. The film, it does not pay off because she's just grumpy. Then when she's been getting instructions from this phone, and for 30 years she's not tracked it down. This is a person who's completely paranoid. Someone came back and killed her son. She never found out where he was, this Terminator. She never hunted him down to start with, because it turned out the Terminator killed her son is the one who sent her messages, because after that he lost his mission. After he'd done his mission, he'd no other point of view, so he ended up learning on his own and realising what he'd done was horrible. But for some reason Sarah Connor didn't hunt him down in the first place, which I thought she would do. Then she takes instructions on this other phone that is against her character, really. She's not going to follow instructions to go and hunt these Terminators down for him. It's just it's this mess of a narrative that's very annoying. And also the character himself is just, the Schwarzenegger character just doesn't work. The Danny character doesn't work. It just completely deflates the whole film and the whole idea of it. Whenever they're saying forge on throughout the film, it feels like completely hollow. Because why? You've killed an important character off to the whole series. You've destroyed one of the main characters of the whole series, and you've just done this basic patchwork to say that, oh, we're paying respect to the character. You haven't done enough. It does, because you have to, if you pay respect to the character, you'd actually have sure the other character worked, and you'd actually have the Sarah Connor character have more depth than she actually has in this film. Instead, there's meandering mess of these people wandering through these scenes. So you're halfway through I mentioned it starts to meander about a third of the way through, because this is the point they have to cross the border to find this location, which is the location where Schwarzenegger, as Carol, the Terminator, killed John Connor. He's there, they have to try and cross the border, the other Terminator's chasing them, the bad Terminator's chasing them. They end up getting caught by ICE, and they're in a detention facility in the most obvious political thing ever that is boring, because it's like, well, every immigration place is garbage looking, horrible, and it's meant to put you off. What's that tell me about anything? It just feels like it's just there so the filmmakers can be smug about something. They don't actually have a point or he's a point about anything. They just put that scene there, and it totally derails the rest of the film, because that scene doesn't need to be there. You could cross the border and get to the point, find a problem, and it would be fine, and the whole story could keep going, because the Terminator's still chasing them. The Terminator can still find them even after that, probably, without a problem. It's just like, it's not really, there's no point to that scene. That's like 10 minutes long, and there's no point to the scene, and you watch it thinking, there's no point to this. There's no progression in the story here, just stopping, killing 10 minutes. You know, why is that? And then as the film goes on, when they get to Schwarzenegger, you realise there's no more plot. There's no plot. It's like, well, how do we kill the Terminator? Now, normally they try and do that on the run in the first two films, and they use other goals to try and work out, and it's always like multi-layered scenes that have 3 or 4 purposes. This one is just like, oh, they sit down, well, how do we kill the Terminator? I don't know. We use her as bait. who's the person trying to kill his bait. Okay, they argue that a little bit. And every plan they have is very vague, and they say, well, do this. And it's very, they don't even outline what the plan is, they just, well, do this. As if you're trying to guess what the plan is going to be. And then action scenes happen, and you're like, well, why am I watching this? And other action scenes happen, and other action scenes happen. And every so often, Sarah Connor says, oh, my son's dead. You know? I'm going to kill you, Arnold Schwarzenegger, because you killed him. Even though it was your programming. And Schwarzenegger looks vaguely guilty. Like, oh no, what have I done? You know, it's like really tedious. And I've just trashed the whole iconography of the series at this point. Because, I mean, one of the things about the original films, right, was that there was 3 or 4 characters that were really important. There was Sarah Connor, there was a Terminator, there was Kel Reese, and there was John Connor. They were very important, they were all very important. In the follow-ups, the films that weren't so good, obviously Kel Reese wasn't there. Terminator was in and out, and there were other Terminators around him. Sarah Connor was never there, unless she was played by another actress. And John Connor was always replaced by a different actor every film. So you had no continuity, you had no attachment, and the character was always written badly. And it never matched up with what was there in the first, in Terminator 2. And it was just a mess. And it was like, okay, this shows that you need Sarah Connor to make this series work. Well, in this film just shows you need John Connor to make the series work as well. Because without him, you feel his absence really badly, because it's like, you need the character who can actually have a point of view and will want to do something specific. And you need direction for the series, because the Danny character can't do it and she's not interesting. And no matter how they try and suggest a plain tribute to the character John Connor in it, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And the whole movie becomes this thing. And it's just this mess of a movie because of that. It's just like, you need, and they've had this John Connor problem for a long time. It's like, they know he's important, but they don't know how to write him. And turning him Genesis, they turned him into a villain. Had him infected and turned him into a villain. Which should have told them, okay, don't do that again. Don't get rid of this character. This character's important, has a reason for being in the story. Don't mess with him. Instead, what they do is, they make every same mistake again. They get rid of him in this one at the beginning of the story. They focus on Sarah Connor again in this one. Now they can bring Linda Hamilton back. But again, like in Genesis, they don't write the character properly. They just make her this sort of bad-tempered bitch, basically. And it's like, these are characters we saw before, these are characters who had ideas before. No, they're not. It's just this mess of a film. It's really weird Tim Miller left Deadpool 2 due to creative differences, and then he basically remade Deadpool 2 in this film. Because, get this, there's a lead character who dies first at the beginning of the movie, which is, in Deadpool 2 it's his girlfriend, and this one is John Connor, the son of the lead character Sarah Connor. So basically the loved one of the lead characters, they die. You have a scene in the prison. This one is the ice thing, the other place is a prison. You have time travelling killers come back to kill someone who they think will mess things up. You've got a plane sequence, right? There's a plane sequence in Deadpool 2, there's a plane sequence in this one. And there's like there's a car chase as well with a truck, which Deadpool 2 has. But Deadpool 2 is so much more fun, and there's actually a lot more depth to it than this film manages. It's really weird that he left one film to do the exact same film but much worse. In Terminator. But yeah, I mean, hopefully I've been rambling because I'm really annoyed with this film, because I really adore Terminator series. The first two really, and I like the TV show. I mean, Terminator was one of my things growing up. Terminator was important to me. And to watch it keep on getting worse and worse every time, it gets really embarrassing to watch, and every time you go and hope for the best. Like, even though I thought there might be some problems with this film, from what I'd read, I went in there today hoping it would be good. I was a bit nervous, but I was hoping it would be good. And I did not expect to be this hateful towards it, to really loathe it this much. And it was like there's all this talent and they just didn't do anything with it. It's just this mess of a film. I'm not even sure I'm articulating it properly, but it's the best I can do under the circumstances. But it's so bad. I mean, and the big problem is no good characterization, no direction in the story. I mean, a story where you've only got one act is not a good idea for a story. I mean, in the end, they're pretty much where they started at the beginning in the series, where basically, in end of Terminator 2, she's there with John Connor, and there's a potential dark future ahead, but hopefully they've stopped it. In this one, she's there with Danny, who's John Connor substitute, facing a dark future, and hopefully they can face it and stop it. They're at the same point with they've just switched out one character for another, but now they've switched out a well-developed character for a vaguely developed character. And I mean, the weird thing was the Schwarzenegger character, everything he was doing in this film could have been done if they'd kept John Connor's character alive. You know, everything. It's really weird. It's like, he didn't need to die. He could have been a computer expert. He could have been playing around with Skynet and technology and stuff, and he could have been very important to that. And it would have made sense to the character, and even if the Apocalypse had moved on 10, 20 years rather from where he had been the leader, he still could have played a part. And if someone else had taken up the leadership role, it would still have been interesting in passing the baton to a new series. It would have worked probably a lot better than this, because you wouldn't have a lot of like dead dramatics and mixed in with dead like action scenes that made no sense. But I don't think anyone could have saved this film though. This is me just spitballing like what could have improved it a little bit. My guess is you just write this off as a bad film and ignore it and just say Terminator, stop with Terminator 2. Because this is terrible. This is the worst possible follow-up to Terminator 2. This is just embarrassing. Well, I hope you enjoyed my rant. I'm going to go off now because I think I've ranted enough. I'll speak to you later. Right, bye.